and gentlemen, let's all give a warm round of applause for Maylee Tom, board member, State Personnel Board.
Well, I feel so much at home here. You know, these are APSI people, and I want to first thank APSI and thank the USC for really sponsoring and hosting this amazing forum. I think it's the third year, and it's sold out again. And thank you, CalPERS. I saw President Rob Fechner in back, and Stasball. Thank you so much for sharing your facility for this very important occasion. I actually have the funnest job, I think, today. I have a couple of minutes to introduce someone that I've known for 30 years. I'm not going to go over his amazing bio because you all have it in your folder. And I just want to tell you a little bit about him as I know him. And as he faces his next challenge, serving as a state banker in managing its asset, let me give you an example why our state made the right choice in terms of the accolades that he has received. Governing Magazine describes John as the man who kept the state from plunging into junk bond status by the various credit rating agencies. Wall Street Journal called him California's tough guy controller because he had the courage to try to make the legislature accountable to the people regarding the budget. San Francisco Chronicle called him the honest scorekeeper in California finances. And in its endorsement, it says, John Chiang's track record has demonstrated his ability to navigate the politics as well as the spreadsheets to defend public interest. Sacramento Bee called him fighter for the underdog. And in a recent statewide poll that I had the privilege of being told by a top Republican source, John polled as the most honest and trustworthy among all state electeds, and his recent victory margin, among the highest, validated this poll results. But I can go on, and I prefer to really share the human qualities about this extraordinary individual you're going to hear from. Because I've known him from the time where he started as a legislative staffer. I saw this bright, young talent who was so dedicated and so passionate. Instead of going into a lucrative law career, he wanted to give to public service. He wanted to make a difference. And to this day, in light of his success and his enormous popularity, I have to tell you, this sincere, this humble, this extraordinary individual has never changed. When you see him and you know him, John is what you see is what you get. He doesn't razzle-dazzle. He doesn't go after the media spotlight. He doesn't have personal agendas. He just wants to serve. He just wants to deliver to make California a better state. And what makes him so different and so unique is that he continues to narrow his focus and taking on challenges that he feels will make California better. He doesn't go for snazzy headlines. He just wants to deliver and to make that difference. And while us as Asian Pacific Islanders are so proud to have him as a national role model, as being among the most talented leaders in the nation, he's exceeded beyond being Asian Pacific role model. He's just the best and brightest that California can offer. And John Chiang is the person that's going to continue to lead California into excellence. It is my honor to introduce someone who we have all loved and cherished because he is who he is, our next state treasurer, John Chiang.
Thank you.
I love you.
Love you. Thank you. Well, good afternoon. I'm delighted to be with all of you. I want to thank Maylee for those overly kind and very generous words of introduction. Maylee's been a phenomenal leader here in Sacramento. She's taken so many of us under her wing. As she alluded to, she's known me for not quite 30 years, but she helped me early on in my career. She gave the guidance. She had the extraordinary patience to help so many of us. And so, Maylee, thank you for making such a profound difference in my life. Let me ask this question so I have a context. I spoke here 2 years ago. So how many of you heard me speak 2 years ago? So about 25% of, not even 20, probably about 15% of you. Let me pose this question. Does anybody remember what I said 2 years ago? Seriously. So my staff member does, Linda does. Anybody else? If not, I love Jody. So Jody was like one of our star employees at the Board of Equalization. So it's great to see Jody. So I just wanted to get a context of what you shared. So I will start off with all of these, some of the words that I shared with you a couple of years ago. So I want you to think what you want out of this. Feel free to interject at any particular juncture. If you want me to address a specific issue. I'm sort of torn between two areas. I'm really proud of my staff, and since this is my next to last month as your state's chief fiscal officer, I'm going to take a moment or two to brag about my staff. We got 1,254 proud employees in the state controller's office. As Maylee alluded to, they've done remarkable work on behalf of all of us to make sure that California got through the deep fiscal crisis and on a pathway to much stronger economic and robust activity. And then I share a few lessons. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you is as I pointed out, figure out what you want. Each moment in life ought to be better than the previous. And I'm sort of sad that you don't remember what I said, because what I said, my challenge to you a couple years ago was your life the next year shouldn't look like your life the previous year, right? It ought to be better. The other lesson that I offered to all of you was surround yourself with really great people, right? That was one of my mom's early life lessons. She was really tough about who we used to hang out. She wanted to make sure as a kid we didn't get into trouble. She said, pick great friends. And then we would bring some friends, and my mom would say, I'm not so sure, right? They don't study hard, they have these other things. And so the basic economic studies, whether they're done out of Stanford, some of you may have majored in industrial organization, management, your happiness in life is heavily influenced by the people that are immediately in your life. So, spend quality time with the people who are important to each and every single one of you. That's why when I have a Maylee or I have Ann Stossball, who does great job here at CalPERS, Jody at the Board of Equalization, I've been incredibly successful because great people have assisted me, and you try to make sure that you do the best for all of them on a daily basis. So now I'm going to brag about the State Controller's Office. So I have Garen. Garen, where's Garen? Garen's back there. I have Jason. Jason, where are you? Jason, and then Terry, are you back there? I can't see. Terry McGuire, who represents me here in this particular seat at CalPERS when I'm not here. So as we pointed out, California was in deep dire straits in 2008, 2009. Now you're thinking, why are we going to go over history? Because I want all of us to do better for our future. And there's a reason we go to school and we study history. There's a reason we go and we learn economics, we go to learn finance, we learn English, we learn other subjects, math. And why I'm going to go over this is because I don't want us to fall into the same traps and mistakes we've made in the past. I want all of us to have a higher quality of life. I want California to represent the ideal that most of us have. It's the dream state by which we can make anything happen. But if people don't help each other, if we don't come together, we're going to repeat the errors. And our errors were very serious in 2008, 2009. So when I got to the controller's office in January of 2007, on my second day in office, my first day was my inaugural, and I went to other people's inaugural. Second day in office, I went and visited the 1,200 plus employees, anybody who wanted to see me. And I said, I wanted to make the controller's office the best public fiscal office in the United States of America. I said, we're going to be second to none. right? That's the standard we want to state, because why would the 30-something plus million, now 38 million plus people of California want the second best public fiscal office in the United States of America? You deserve the best, and we ought to perform. And I said, my perspective is this. I worked with you 25 years ago. I had the good fortune of being staff counsel in the controller's office. And as I walked around, I said, Ken Press, if I can say publicly, Ken was one of my office mates, right? And I just look at it. I said, we're traveling far and we're going to go far. And what I want you to understand every day that you're in the controller's office while I am the controller, you're going to be supported by me and everybody in the executive team. Because I want you, while you're employed by the state in the controller's office, to understand that we're going to do everything that we can do to fulfill your professional dreams. I want you to go back and I want you to be able to brag about the work you do. Because most importantly, what I want you to understand about the controller's office is that you as an individual have huge value. And we're going to support you to make sure that you can do what you want to do. I want this office to win many national awards, and I'm not going to go accept them. You're going to go and accept them because you did the hard work. You're going to do the hard work. And so today in the controller's office, as I leave, every single division has outperformed its predecessor by vast margins, by vast, vast margins. And it has a huge impact on the lives that we have today. One of the things that nobody cares about, but right, I handle your payroll, right? We do 47 million disbursements out of the controller's office each year. My first question to my chief of staff on that second day is, do we have a disaster response plan? He comes back to me 2 days later and says, we do not, right? My big fear is I can't pay you, right? Because our payroll department's in a floodplain region, and God forbid if something would have happened, we would have tanked the economy in Sacramento because we couldn't have pushed out payroll. Now, fortunately, I met with Betty Yee a couple of years ago, who's my successor. I said, Betty, we got a disaster response plan, and we have a couple backup plans in case something happens with payroll, so all of you can be paid. Rest assured for all of you. Then secondly, it's about a philosophy. Do you believe in each other or not? One of my guiding philosophies is you put people first and you trust each other and you empower each other. Back to those of us in public service ought to believe in the people that we're serving and that we ought to provide you with the best information possible so that you can be part of the governance. All of us are blessed that we're in public service. We get to make a difference and get paid for it to make other people's lives better. I take that charge very seriously. And so one of the things that you have to do is we know that we can't do it all. I can't educate everybody on the finances. The legislature and governor came to agreement, 2009. The budget didn't work, and then I issued 450,000 IOUs to the tune of $2.6 billion to keep California from defaulting on debt. But we didn't collapse, right? The good people of Stockton, the good people of Vallejo, the good people in Mammoth Lakes, right? They have to endure a bankruptcy. And some of them Stockton just got out of it, but it took years to resolve itself. California's economy is one of the most robust. We're one of the 5 states with the most rapid growth. If we had technical default, where I didn't pay our bond payments, we would all have turned against each other because we would have all been suing each other. California is not our strongest when people are turned against each other. We are strongest when we lift each other up. And that's the position that we are working to. Now, let's understand we are far from where we need to be. We understand there are massive economic inequality issues. One of the things that Ann and her staff is great about providing the board members is a lot of financial education that we all have to well understand. America, if we understand our debt cycles, how many of you took economics and finance classes? Raise your hand. Okay, oh good. So 3/4 of you. Remember our debt cycles? Remember the debt cycles? So America was past our peak in our debt cycle. We owed too much money. And one of the habits that we have to change is that we can't buy everything that we want when we want it necessarily. We have to be smart about how we use our money. So, and it was everybody. People like to point fingers at public employees. People like to point fingers at others. America across the board, we just have to be smarter about the way we spend money. So government, federal, state, and local, the private sector, especially the financial sector, and consumers. We all borrow too much money. And why this recovery was slow is because it took a long time for many of us to get out of debt. We're still working our way through. During the last recession, we lost $12 trillion worth of wealth in this country. And if I'm broke, I can't spend at Mei Li's shop. And if Mei Li doesn't get the spending out of John Chiang, Mei Li can't spend as well as at Terry Maguire's shop, right? So we had to repair all our balance sheets. And so our governor and legislature have done a much better job taking down debt, but we have to understand that the markets are still going to be challenging. Now, one of the things that we all have to do is that we have to understand that we live in a dynamically changing world. So in my time, and I'm 52, in my high school years and earlier, America was by far the preeminent economic engine on this globe, and we still are. We're the preeminent economic engine. But other countries are doing very well. China is doing much better. India has a new government, a new president, and they're performing really well. And so that we have to understand that we have to work on our education. One of the things that you have to focus on, the most important element in an economy is each and every single one of you. The skill set, the knowledge, the talent of individuals is the most important element of a growth economy. So as you go back and as you go from here, APSI, thank you for all your good work. We're going to have to talk about how we can support each other so we can be the very best at what we can do. And so from there, that's our future. We have to make sure that we increase our productivity. One of the key factors that all of us is the economies go up if our productivity goes up. And then we have to make sure, as I mentioned earlier, our productivity always has to exceed our debt. Now, we will have times that we are challenged. And all of us in government understands that we are the safety net. We're the harbinger of making sure that things get through in those difficult times. My concluding remarks are this. We're only going to be as great as what each of you individually have as your vision. And then when you take that individual, how your ability to communicate, to inspire, and work with each other turns into a collective vision. So people say, John, you're always hopeful, you're always an optimist. It's really easy because when you do what I do, when I get to see the faces in this crowd, and when I see great groups like APSI and Becca and all your incredible work in bringing people together, you would never be a pessimist because we know that collectively, why America and California is great still exists. It's in the hearts and the souls and the spirits and intelligence of the people. So with that, I just want to thank you for everything you do. I want to thank you for the opportunity of being your controller. Thank you all very much.